Hi, welcome to Taji's World of Books and welcome to another book series recommendation. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. And so this is going to be a review on the Kingmaker series, or All the King's Men. It's 3 books in the series. Book 1 is the Kingmaker, book 2 is the Rebel King, and then book 3 is a companion novel, Queen's Moves. And this is written by Kennedy Ryan. And so book 1 is the Kingmaker. And this is, well, let me say that this is not one of my favorite Kennedy Ryan. I love Kennedy Ryan. I love her Grip series. I loved her Hoop series. I thought that they were both amazing. This series had a couple of my pet peeves and things that I don't particularly like. All in all, I'm going to say this is this book is a 4 out of 4 star. It's about Lennox and Nix. And all I knew going into this is that this was about Indigenous people and a pipeline. So this basically is I'm not going to say it's an enemies to lovers, but it starts off where there is a pipeline that's being laid. We are introduced to Nix with her mother and her father. And she is very young and she's going off to a ceremonial rites festival or a situation that's very integral to her culture, and it's a puberty ceremony that's a coming of age. And we see that her ancestral rights as an Indigenous person is very near and dear to her heart because of who her mother is. And so we fast forward. There's a lot of time jumps, and I don't like time jumps, but we fast forward in the future, and Lennox is at a protest, and at this protest she's protesting Maxim's father's company laying a pipeline through her Indigenous ceremonial grounds where she had this rite of passage at, where they have marriages at, where all these things that are very unique to her culture, where they do them and where it's essential that these things happen. Okay, so they are protesting this pipeline that's going to be laid down, and because it's wrong and it's happening on land that is basically stolen from their people. And so Maxim is with his father. It's very clear that Maxim has a very strained relationship with his father, and so he sees that they're bringing in the dogs and the police are there and tear gas, and he sees her, he hears her speak. He's very moved by what she says, and so he jumps out of the car and he goes to intercede, and they all are arrested, and he meets her and they have a conversation while they're in jail, and he realizes that she's 17 years old, but he's so taken with her that he's like, I have to know this woman. I have to know. She's so passionate and I believe in everything that she says, and I just want to know her, but she can't know who I am because she absolutely hates my father and his company with a passion. But it's very clear that the things that are near and dear to her, under marginalized people like Indigenous people, black and brown people that need a voice, that don't have a voice, where things have been taken from them and stolen from them, and they've been made to feel a certain kind of way. Their voices are not represented in points of government, that she wants to stand up for people who don't have a voice. I'm all for it. And he is all about saving the environment and sustainment and sustainable agriculture and sustainable fuels and getting away from fossil fuels and those kinds of things that are going to save the planet and ensure that our children and future generations have a place to live and a place to be proud of, because we've preserved it rather than destroying it through global warming, through the acts of things that we're doing and how we're destroying the planet. So their views align perfectly. She just does not know that his father is whom he is, and she has an absolute dispassionate hate for him. So it ends, and then it time jumps again, 10 years, and then it time jumps again. And so this book, it is their story about, it's about forgiveness, it's about trust, it's about being honest. You know, if he were to be honest with her up front about who he was, I think things would have turned out differently. I think that she's very passionate in everything that she does, and I believe in everything that she stands for, but she does it at the disservice of herself. And you start to see, I appreciate it. She does everything that I hate in books, which is like, I'm never going to talk to you again. No matter what you do, I'm going to push you away, and I'm never going to forgive you for this thing that you did, despite whatever everybody says and how I feel. I'm gonna forge on and be this fierce, independent woman. And I call bullshit. And then so like later on we discover that the reason that she held out wasn't necessarily about the lie. She used that as an excuse. It was about something more, it was something deeper and richer, and there was a reason behind it. That I could get behind once we heard about that. But this whole idea of, you know, groveling for the sake of groveling. And so let me back up a little bit. So in this book, this is the majority of the book is their first meeting, the time jump, their second meeting, this passionate connection that they have, and then the discovery of the betrayal. And so at the end of the betrayal, she's like, I never want to see you again. And she doesn't really give him much time to explain, but it's very clear that there is a passionate connection between these two. And so this is a 4 out of 5 star. So then we jump into the Rebel King, and the Rebel King is, the beginning of the book is about groveling. And, you know, all those things that I said, I'm never going to forgive you for all of these things. And, you know, it's just, I can't trust you, and you are not to be trusted. Not to mention, like, all of the things that he's done all along the way to show that he is exactly who he said he was. The only difference is that this is, you can't, I should not be based on the sins of my father, which is true, right? And so the one thing that Kennedy Ryan, I have to say, that she does that's different than other writers. Other writers create this third act conflict. They create this crisis, this conflict between, I caught you with somebody else and I misinterpreted what I saw, and now I'm going to run away and I'm going to never talk to you again. And there's all this angst and drama. Kennedy Ryan doesn't do that. I have to give her credit. What she does is the couples have angst and drama getting together. And then once they get together, then there is angst and drama in the relationship that they have to figure out and work towards and figure out together as a collected unit and as a collected couple. And that's what happens here. The problem that I have with this book is the same problem that I've had with fantasy books and fantasy romance in terms of why I stepped away from it. I loved fantasy books. I love magic and, you know, invisibility cloaks and being able to wield fire and all of this stuff. I appreciate that, but I don't appreciate that I have to sacrifice the love of my life for the greater good of everyone. Maybe I'm a selfish bitch and like I'm just not doing that. And in here, it's all about sacrifice and sacrificing love for the greater good, because I know that you are going to be what's best for the people. And so there's a lot of that in here, and I just call bullshit because, you know, you fought so long and so hard to get to this place of like togetherness, and now all of a sudden you're asking me to hide who I am. And so in this modern contemporary book, for me, I love alpha dudes. I love alpha strong men, and I'm an alpha female, right? And I'm not going to put my man down to make me feel strong. Like, I'm strong in my own right, and like I'm good. And in here, I feel like there's a lot of like him acquiescing to her because it's what she wants. And who knows, maybe you talk to my husband and he probably would say the same thing, that I make him acquiesce to me. I don't know, but when I read it, I'm just like, you're making him weak, dude. And I don't want a weak guy. Like, I want him to be who he is, and he has to sacrifice to be who he is, to be what you want him to be, to make the relationship work. And maybe it's the way I read into it, but I was like really irritated with her throughout the whole book, because I was like, give him a fucking break. Like, give him a break. He does all of this to keep you safe, and you're like, I don't want security detail. You just got kidnapped, chick. You need security detail. Like, since when are you gonna be like, I've never had security? I've never had security in my whole life too, but if I'm dating a dude like this and I get kidnapped, you better put some security on me to make sure I'm safe. That doesn't make me weak. That doesn't make me less of a woman. That does not make me a beta. That makes me an alpha, and like it makes me a bad bitch that knows like I can handle this and take care of this, and this is all part of like what I need to do in order for us to move forward as a power couple. And so I just didn't, I don't know, I wasn't like feeling her in that sense. So I still gave it a 4 out of 5 star because I still liked it. The other thing that I didn't like about this book is that the end felt rushed to me, and it also didn't feel wrapped up. Like, it just felt like it dangled. In all the other books that Kennedy Ryan has written, they all felt really nicely wrapped up, and I felt like it was a good place to end, and I felt like this needed another book. It just felt undone and not fully fleshed out. And like, yes, they got to a place, but like there was still so much to do. So I had assumed that we would pick up in Queen Move, and like Queen Move was going to be about that couple, but this person and this couple, like, and them all working together, and it just wasn't. I got like maybe one mention of Maxim or two mentions of Maxim and Nix or Lennox in this book that gave me some sort of wrap up, so I felt undone with this. And then in this couple, this is about Lennox's best friend Kimba and her business partner. They developed this company together where they work with political hopefuls to get them elected, and her childhood friend Ezra. So a lot of the beginning of this book was spent on Kimba's childhood and helping us to see the relationship she developed with Ezra. And then fast forward to present and what's going on with Ezra and his current situation and how that ties in. I wasn't invested in this couple. I didn't care about this couple. I thought the way that they handled the conflict was bullshit. I felt like the way that the other parties in here addressed stuff and handled stuff was like everybody was in each other's business, not giving people good advice. Like she was not able to step up and handle her, you know, be strong and handle what she needed to handle and do what she wanted to do based on what she wanted to do, regardless. I don't know, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. To me, it wasn't Kennedy Ryan's best work. Like, I enjoyed it and I was here for it, but at the same time, I was like, I was much more into the Kingmaker series, and you left me hanging with this, and then you gave me this, and I just didn't feel like if there were another book on this couple, I wouldn't. And also, at the end of this, it was rushed too. There was a last like 30 pages that was like, oh, and this happened, and now we time jumped, and now we're here, and blah, 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 and it's all done. And I was like, what? Like, no. I wasn't buying it at all. And so all in all, I would say that this series for me is a 3.75. It's entertaining, it's contemporary, it brings up some really relevant, poignant issues. I definitely like to see strong female roles. I like to see women that are like running their businesses and have a voice and do what they need to, but I want them to work with their partner as opposed to working against their partner and not being like, you're not gonna tell me what to do, and no. Maybe because I live that in my day-to-day life that I don't want to read it in a book. Like, I either want you to be alpha and you're just all in, and her smut scenes and her steamy scenes are just, I was like, I don't know, maybe because I just came off of the Hades Hangman that like just took me to a whole nother stratosphere, and then I like went into this. That's the one thing about reading books in series, and like and definitely when books have like 5 books, 8 books, 10 books, 50, you get so enmeshed in that world and so familiar with that author's style of writing that when you go into another book, it's almost like you have book hangover and you're trying to kind of shake off that really good book and get into a new one. And so no matter what you read next, unless it's like freaking outstanding, it's going to get like not a lackluster review, but it's going to get a like ho-hum. And that's sort of how I felt about this. So I was disappointed. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to read more of Kennedy Ryan. I have Real on my TBR and I've got it over there. And I mean, I could read that next, but I'm not. I'm going to read something else because I want to step away from this a little bit. I heard it's really good. I will read more of Kennedy Ryan, but this is not her best work for me, and so I was a little bit disappointed. So having said that, you guys, that is all that I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and you know I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye, guys.